Alright y'all, so the last time we left off, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, pretty much the whole Straw Hats got annihilated by CP9. But not only that, CP9 actually figured out who had the blueprints, which was Franky, aka Cuddy Flam. And once they figured that out, they tied up Polly and Iceberg and left him to die. And after that, they beat up the Franky family to figure out where Franky was. And they end up telling them, and now CP9 is going where Franky is at. Hold on though, before I continue, make sure y'all boys go check out the new video I dropped on my second channel. And also y'all boys go check out my gaming channel. We did a live stream not too long ago and it really went well, I'm not gonna lie. And with that being said, let's continue. So we start off with Usopp still working on the Mary, and Franky asks him what is he gonna do after he fixed the Mary. And Usopp tells him first he gonna go on adventures with her and then he gonna take her back to the East Blue. And Franky tells him sorry buddy, but that's not gonna happen, because when he was bringing the Mary up, he said he saw her from every angle, and as you can see, she's not in very good shape at all. And he also tells Usopp that she's at the end of her life. This means that Gali Law wasn't capping, so he tells Usopp to dismantle her. And as you can see, he's ready to help as well. And then Usopp tells him what is he talking about. Then Franky started walking towards him, and then he tells him don't come any closer or he's gonna shoot him. Usopp wasn't planning about his Mary, but Franky was like, bro, just chill out, I'm just trying to help you demolish the ship. Bro was saying that so calmly, like Usopp wouldn't hear that right now. Anyways, Usopp tells Franky he's not gonna let him get anywhere near her, and that's his ship. But Franky tells him that's not even a ship no more. And this is where Franky gets real with him. He told Usopp, he asked him a question earlier, which was what he's gonna do after he finished fixing the Mary. And he told Usopp if Usopp would have told him he was gonna go down with the Mary, he would have just let him be. But since Usopp told him that after he was done with his adventures, he was gonna go back to the East Blue, Franky tells him that's where he's gonna have to stop him. And judging by the look on Usopp's face, he doesn't like that. Also, Franky tells him that she won't even be able to make it to the next island. And he tells him that a ship only has one promise, which of course to sail you to one shore to the other. And once the ship can't do that anymore, that promise has been broken. And while he was saying that, he breaks the Mary. And Usopp over here just crying, telling him to stop. And then he proceeds to tell him to get away from the Mary, and he shoots him, knocking the both of them back. Usopp wasn't messing around about the Mary, but that didn't stop Franky. He jumps towards Usopp and he grabbed this man with one arm. Just look at the size of this man's hand. He's gripping this man's whole torso. But anyways, after that, he proceeds to throw Usopp in the air. And while he was doing that, he tells Usopp that he doesn't understand. So he shows Usopp by knocking him in the water, so Usopp can take a good look and see that Mary cannot take anymore. And as Usopp in the water, he's taking a good long look at her, and she's definitely not in good shape at all. I mean, just take a good look at her battle scars. Nobody's fixing that. And Usopp, he knew that already. That's why he was crying. So with that being said, he gets up out of the water and he start fixing on the part that Franky just broke off the Mary. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, it was just giving me the feels. Only One Piece will make you feel sad about a ship, bro. Like, come on. Let's give Oda a round of applause because you are truly a GOAT. But anyways, Franky tells Usopp, bro, you seen the ship, it's no fixing her. But Usopp was like, bro, shut the hell up. If you say another word, I would kick this shit out of you. And I was like, this man Usopp is on timing. But at the same time, it still has some emotional feels to it. And it get even more emotional because Usopp, he started crying and saying that he already knew that the Mary was at the end of her life. Then he started telling Franky what he saw back on Skypiea. And he tells him at first he thought he was just dreaming and he heard noises coming from the Mary. But he went to go confirm the sound when it was actually coming from the Mary. And he saw someone fixing the Mary. And when they woke up the next day, they saw the Mary fixed. And not only that, everything was put in the right place. And y'all remember in Skypiea, they had put the flying gear on the Mary, right? They took it off because they knew how the Mary already looked. And Usopp tells Franky he don't know if he was tripping or not, but he always heard these words in his heart. And by the way, the person that was fixing on the Mary was Mary itself. And she went into that form to reassure them that they will be safe. Mary is definitely a W ship for that, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, Franky tells Usopp what he saw was a Klabautermon, or however he said, and that it's a particular fairy that dwells on ships that treat it with care. And basically you could just call it the ship spirit, and it only appears when the ship is in danger. And it runs around the ship to find some way to warn everyone. The more care the ship receives, the more they grow to appreciate the sailors. Also, Franky tells Usopp that she had to be determined to get them to the next shore. Also, she had to have a loving crew to put up in her human form to reassure that everything would be okay. And like I said, Mary is a W ship for real. And after that, Franky asks Usopp if he knew all along about the Mary, why would he have a big fight with his captain? And Usopp tells him it's not that simple. And next, out of nowhere, we just get CP9 over here just ringing the doorbell. And when I mean it was ringing it, they were just ringing that bit the whole time, just kept ringing it over and over and over and over, until finally Mozu and Kiwi grabs the door. And while Franky and Usopp was fighting, we just see Mozu flying out of nowhere, and they stop what they was doing and they see her on the floor. And next after that, Kiwi get kicks in the head, causing her to get knocked out as well. And then Cauliflower was like, "I'm sorry, but those ladies wasn't trying to let us get in." And Franky's face just gets zoomed in on, and I'ma just let you know right now, bro is pissed. Mans was like equal rights, equal fight. I think that's how it goes, right? And he was getting ready to punch the hell out of Cauliflower, but Bluno steps in and stops him. And Bluno, he uses his iron body, but Franky doesn't give a damn about that, and he punches the shit out of him. Had Bluno looking stupid like, damn, my iron body doesn't work on him. And just by the look on his face, I already knew bro was fodder. Anyways, immediately after this, man Franky grabs his whole face, and he was squeezing the hell out of it. And while Franky was trying to ask Bluno why he's tripping for, this man didn't care what he was saying, and he does the same thing that Franky did to him. And Franky was like, "Oh yeah, you trying to do the same thing that I'm doing?" And proceeds to call him a dumbass and tells him that you know that's not gonna work on him. And Franky's arm get bigger and he lift Bluno off his feet. This man really little boy him. Like, look how he had his legs moving around up in the air. That's crazy, bruh. And this man Franky was squeezing his face even more tight, having this man looking like he ready to say uncle. But anyways, after that, Bluno, he was about to use his finger pistol on him, but Lucci stops him because he was like, "We can't kill him yet, we still need the blueprints." And then he proceeds to kick Franky in the stomach, sending him flying. Anyways, after that, Lucci tells Franky that he knows his secret and he knows that he's Cuddy Flam. Then Franky was like, he's starting to get a bad feeling about this, and he asks Lucci what happened to Iceberg. And Lucci tells him that he's dead. Also, he tells Franky that he knows everything about how Tom gave the blueprints to Iceberg and Iceberg gave the blueprints to Franky. And then after that, he tells Franky to hand over the blueprints, and Franky wasn't about to hand over nothing, so he tries to punch Lucci, and Lucci, he dodges his attack and pulls up in front of him and sent him flying into a wall where a room was at. And while Franky was still laid out on the floor, Lucci tells the other to start looking for the blueprints. And as they was looking, Bluno found nameplates, and it was an Iceberg, Cuddy Flam, and Tom. And then Lucci, he started walking towards a picture, and as he was about to grab it, Franky tells him do not touch that. And then he gets up and tells them that they're poking their nose into his personal space, and that these are his memories and where he grew up at. And then the picture started to get zoomed in on, and we see Franky, Iceberg, Tom, and Kokoro, and also that toad that be with them as well. I forgot his name. And now we're entering Franky's backstory. I'm gonna try to explain most of the important parts so this won't be too long, because I know y'all boys want me to cover Annie's lobby, and don't worry, I want to cover it as well. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see me cover that arc, make sure y'all boys go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Road to 50k. And with that being said, let's continue. So Franky's backstory start off with him getting chased by a Sea King, and he tried shooting at it with his battleship that he created, but it did not work at all, as you can see. And after that, he started to get attacked by it. Meanwhile, over here, Iceberg minding his business, this man Franky came out of nowhere from out of the sky, and then Iceberg started to get mad at Franky, and while he wasn't paying attention, he almost got caught by the Sea King. And then after all that, Iceberg punches Franky on top of his head and tells him we supposed to be making real ships, not those little toys you making out here. And Franky tells him it's not a toy, it's a battleship. ship. Iceberg tells him if he keep making those things, it's gonna get people hurt, which we'll get to that part soon enough. Anyways, while they were still fussing, this man Tom picks up this big ass ship and proceeds to toss it up in the air hella far. And this man had to have aimbot the way how he just made these things fit on the ship perfectly. And he just had Franky and Iceberg that's in shock. And I'm not gonna lie, I would be too. Anyways, they cut to the part where Franky said he grew up at. And this was that same room. Everything looked at all clean and good. Anyways, Kokodo was talking about how the people's spirits was low in Water 7. And due to the floods that they get from the storm every year, they could only get lumber and iron if they shipped them from different islands. But they can't even do that because of all these pirates. And not only that, the shipmans is literally fighting each other because they desperate for customers. And she was like, at this rate, Water 7 is going to end up just flooding. And everybody will just end up forgetting it even exists. Anyways, we cut to nighttime and we see Tom working on something that help out Water 7. Tom said that he hopes that this give hopes to his island. And then we cut to the next day and the Marines have this man Tom in handcuffs. Franky and Iceberg tries to run towards them, but he tells them don't worry, he's going to be fine, and he starts laughing and walk off. And then we cut to the judge room and they said that since Tom built the ship that Goldie Roger rode on, which was the Otto Jackson, they are now going to take him to Annie's lobby and execute him there. But Tom tells the judge that he's working on something that's going to help lift up the spirits for the hard-working citizens, and that thing he's trying to create is a sea train. Tom started explaining to him about it and he agreed to his idea, but he asked him how long would it take for him to make it, and he said 10 years. So the judge put him on probation for 10 years. And now everybody in the room was starting to feel some type of hope and they were cheering Tom on. And then next we cut back to Tom and he was laughing and everybody was just cheering him on, was like, yeah, that's a good idea and stuff about the sea train and all that stuff. And basically they was just glazing him. But Franky, he was pissed and he started walking away from the table. And Iceberg was like, hey, we over here glazing Tom and you just want to leave? And Franky was so pissed because he felt it was so unfair that they wanted to kill Tom, the only man that built a ship that can sail across the whole Grand Line. And also was saying they don't even know the hard work he put into that. And also the reason why their office had to be under a bridge, which is, this is their office by the way, is because he built that ship. And he was like, it's unfair that they treat him like shit. And then this man Tom started laughing at him. And then Franky gets mad at him because he was laughing. And then eventually he leaves the room. And after all that, Iceberg, he was like, if he was Tom, he would have kicked Franky out. And Tom tells him he knows that he can be a handful, but he's a fellow shipbuilder. He even said at his age, he's almost on par with the best craftsmen on the island, so that's pretty good. Also, 2 years ago, Tom met him on Scrap Heap Island, and this man created a whole cannon out of scraps. And Tom said when he saw him, he was firing it with gusto. And not only that, Franky's parents kicked him off their ship because they couldn't handle him. Kinda crazy, right? Also, Tom was like, even though he acts the way how he acts, he still has a good heart, which I'm pretty sure we all should know all that. But anyways, eventually Tom, Iceberg, Franky, and Yokozuna, which is the Toad, all started working on the sea train. And them boys was really putting in that work. And what do you know? After all that, it really paid off. And everybody was ready. And look, we even got a chance to see Little Polly, even Mozu and Kiwi. And they looked way better without the square hairstyle, bruh. But anyways, Franky and the other was all proud to build something so great that we cut back to the present time. And Lucci was telling Franky to give him the blueprints or we ain't going nowhere. And Franky was like, he don't got nothing. So Lucci was like, alright, so that's how we gonna play? And this man kicks a desk over, knowing all that stuff is precious to Franky. And then immediately after, he tells Cauliflower to wrap him around. And that shit looked so painful, I'm not gonna lie. And then he falls down to the ground. And then after that, Lucci tells Franky that he knows a lot about his past, things he don't want getting out. And he was like, for example, him and Tom committed a crime 8 years ago. And Franky was like, Tom was never a criminal. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And Lucci didn't like that. So he kicks the shit out of Franky in his face. And then he tells Franky he disagreed, both of them is criminals. And Franky was like, you talking like you know everything. You don't know nothing about Tom and you know nothing about Water 7. And now we go back to the past. And in 3 days, the judge will come to do Tom trial. And everybody was very happy with the sea train. They was like, with the work he did, he should definitely be released from it. Anyways, we cut to Tom. And this ugly motherfucker spots him, pulls up on him. And while he was so busy yapping, Franky shoots a cannonball at him and sent bro flying. He deserved that, I'm not gonna lie. This man Franky even killed a big ass Sea King with that shit, bruh. And Iceberg, he get mad at him and was basically telling him if he could kill a Sea King with that means it's a dangerous weapon. And he tells Franky even though he's not gonna hurt anyone with it, he's giving people free access to hurt people with it, which is very true. And then eventually they end up fighting back and forth until Tom just steps in and this man just start laughing. I'm not gonna lie, Tom low-key kind of gave me Roger vibes or Luffy vibes because they both just always laugh at everything but always stands on business when time is needed. But anyway, Spottum, he wanted to talk to Tom about some blueprints, but Tom tells him that he doesn't have it. And after that, Spottum tells him if he doesn't cooperate, he's going to tell the government about him building a ship for Goldie Roger. But Tom tells him that the government already knows that. And then Spottum was like, if that's true, then why you not rotting away in a jail cell? And Tom just kicked bro out. And now it cut to nighttime and Tom tells them that he got something serious to tell them, or better yet, show them. And it's none other than the blueprints. And he ends up giving it to one of them because he's like, the government is on his trail too much. And Iceberg, he takes responsibility and say he's gonna keep it. And this man Franky tells Iceberg that they should build it together. And Iceberg tells him it can never be built or it's gonna destroy the world. And pretty much y'all get it. We went over this like 2 videos ago. Anyways, we cut back to Spondum. And this man was hating on Tom so much he was trying to find some way to get this man in prison, just so he could find some type of way to get the blueprints up out of him. And that's why I'm so glad this happened to him. Got man's over here looking like a whole fish man out here. Anyways, the judge, he pulls up to the island and he was getting ready to release Tom. And he was very happy about the sea train and everything like that. But then out of nowhere, cannonball started shooting at the ship that the judge was on. And they were just blowing it up. I mean, them boys were just shooting over and over and over and over. And Franky, he sees the ships and he realized that those are his ships that he created. And remember, Iceberg warned Franky that even though he's not gonna do harm with it, somebody else will. And he was right. Bonham, or however you say his name, told his man to use Franky's ships to blow up the ship that the judge is on. That way he could pin the blame on Tom and his workers. Anyways, after they was done wreaking so much havoc, they end up turning back and going to Scrap Heap Island. And Tom and Iceberg was running towards the ships. And the people that was working for the government, they seen them and they hopped off the ships. And by the time Tom and Iceberg made it on the ship, they were already gone. And what happened next was even more crazy. It was 2 of them left on Franky's ship and they started shooting at them, causing Tom and Iceberg to get blown up in the process. And look at his bitch ass smiling, he enjoying this. Anyways, eventually Franky ended up making it over where Iceberg and Tom is at, and they are not looking good at all. Iceberg, he gets up and he punches Franky in his shit, and he tells him that it's all his fault, which it is because he was trying to warn him not to make these ships, and Franky didn't listen. Anyways, Iceberg tells Franky if Tom dies from this, he would never forgive him. And Franky was just crying because he realized how much he fucked up. But Tom tells Iceberg to stop it, don't blame him. And Franky was telling him he's sorry. And this man Tom was still laughing it off and saying, don't worry, this ain't nothing. Tom really is a W man, I'm not gonna lie. And then this motherfucker come along talk about something. This is the part where you come along quietly. Like, bitch, shut your bitch ass up. Anyways, they take them all here and they all cuffed up. And this man Sponda, or however you say his name, was like, no worry, we blew up all their ships. And all the citizens, they just didn't trust this man no more. And Sponda was like, we could take over the interrogation if you don't mind. And he knew that the judge would agree to it. That's why this man had this devious ass smile. So with that being said, the judge was like, go work on the sea train to Tom. And he told him that the charge he got from building Goldie Roger's ship was pretty much removed. And he told him, knowing that, why would you commit a crime like this? And Franky answered for him. He told them that it wasn't Tom. It was actually CP5 doing. And then bro tried to look all stupid and shit. I was like, huh? And these dumbass citizens started laughing, talking about, you really think CP5 gonna do something like that? Try coming up with a better lie than that. Like, I swear these motherfuckers had to be NPCs. They seen this man Tom hurt. Like, why the hell would y'all think it's them? Yeah, I know it was Franky's ships, but like, come on bro, be for real. Anyways, this man Spondum, he proceeds to lie on Franky and said that he saw him on one of them ships. but he did get him here. He was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but ain't those ships were made by you? And I mean, he got him there, like he can't escape that. Anyways, Franky was like, ships that do horrible things like that isn't his ship. And that really got Tom pissed. Mance even broke his cuff and he punches this man Franky in the face. And he never punches Franky in the face. Tom tells Franky don't ever say that again. And Franky was like, what's wrong with saying that? If he didn't make those ships, nobody wouldn't got hurt. And this is where Tom stands on business with his W speech. He tells Franky, when the ship is built, no matter what type, it's neither good or evil. I don't care what type of ship you choose to make for the rest of your life. Remember, even if the ship hurts someone, even if your ship destroyed the world, even if no one else does, the creator must love their ship unconditionally. The one who made them shall never deny them. Don't place the blame on the ship. You must be proud of every ship you created. And yeah, with that speech, he had everyone shocked. And I mean everyone, even this bitch. Anyways, Tom tells Iceberg and Franky do not interfere with what he's about to do. He knew that the world government was the one that pinned the blame on them. And also they was going to be the one that was going to judge them. So pretty much it was no way for them to get out of this situation. So Tom was like, you know what, fuck it. And this motherfucker was over here just cheesing and shit. This man Tom punches the shit out of him. Like, look how he had this man face. I was waiting for somebody to punch this man. And he sent this man flying. And he grabs him and he was about to punch this man again. Until bro sent his man to start shooting at him. And then he ended up falling down. And after all that, the civilians was like, I knew it was Tom. I knew he was the one who did all that and all that stuff like that. And then Franky was trying to defend him again, but Tom tells him to stop. And then Tom tells the judge that he was the one that led the ships. And you know, Franky, he was like, bro, what are you talking about? You wasn't the one who did that. And then Tom tells the judge that he has a request. And then Spot him, he was trying to step in. And the judge was like, bro, shut your ass up. And he hear Tom out. And Tom tells him to take away the charge for today's crime. And the judge was like, he just gonna be right where he left off at with the Goldie Roger crime. But Tom, he was like, he don't care. He actually was proud that he built that ship. And that's something he would never forget. And everybody there was all just hating on him and all that stuff. Told him some, you're sick, you're a traitor and all that, calling him all types of names and stuff. And as he was falling down to the ground, he was like, he was finally able to help this town. And that his dream finally came true. And it was really sad that he really had to go out like that, but he had no choice. And this motherfucker was just over here laughing. And he was about to arrest all of them, but the judge was like, no, only Tom, and Tom only alone. I'm not gonna lie, that judge was a W. I'm pretty sure that he knew that Tom was a good person. Anyways, they was getting ready to grab Tom and take him away. And bro was doing too much. He stumps on him while he was knocked out. And Franky wasn't messing with that. So he started running towards him full speed ahead and he grabs one of the Marines' guns. And he jumps hella high in the air and he whacks this man in the face, sending Buddy flying. And after that attack, he had this man's face looking all messed up. And then after that, they tried to capture Franky. And Franky, he was trying to stand on business. He whacks one of the Marines in their face. And then after that, a Marine shoots him in his shoulder. And then after that, they started busting at him. And then Franky just takes off running. Then after all that, it cuts to the train leaving Water 7. And this man was so pissed because he couldn't get Franky. Bro was hella injured and he deserved that, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, Franky, he was standing out on the tracks waiting for the train to come. And this man really was trying to stand on business. He started shooting cannonballs at the C train, bro. But none of that wasn't working at all. So he was like, forget this, and he threw his weapon down. And this man really tried to stop the C train with his hands. And I'm not gonna lie, just for a little bit, it looked like he stopped it, but then he just got hit and knocked over. And look at this ugly ass bitch. He was happy he got the chance to run him over. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the flashback, and now we're back to the present. Lucci told Franky since he's still alive, his charges still remain, and they're going to be taking him to Innie's lobby. And then after that, Spot him, or however you say his name, wanted to talk to him on the phone. And he was so happy that Franky was still alive because now he get to get his revenge on him. Anyways, the episode ends right there, and it's a perfect part to stop it at. And if y'all want part 6, you already know what to do.